year was not one of peace. Earth had survived wars, hunger, and endless struggles among its own people, but now something far greater had appeared. It did not come with fire at first. It came as a shadow across the sky. Astronomers were the first to see it. A fleet of ships, dark, cold, and alien, moved past the edge of the solar system. They were not small explorers. They were giants, ships the size of mountains, built with technology far beyond human eyes. At first, people thought they might be peaceful, perhaps travelers, perhaps new friends in the galaxy, but then came the message. It was not a voice. It was not sound. It was a signal, broadcast across every frequency, cutting into televisions, radios, and even military lines. The words were simple and merciless. Kneel, submit your world. You are weak. You will serve or you will burn. The world froze. Leaders of every nation gathered in shock. For centuries, humans had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. They were not alone. And the ones who had found them were not kind. Fear spread like fire. People filled the streets. Some prayed. Some shouted that Earth had no chance. The alien fleet was too big, too powerful. Humanity had only just begun to explore space. How could they fight an empire that had crossed the stars? But not everyone bowed. In the United Nations chamber, voices clashed. Some leaders demanded surrender. We cannot face them, they argued. We must live even as servants. But others stood with steel in their eyes. They remembered the long history of Earth. Wars fought, empires fallen, tyrants overthrown. One man, an old general, spoke words that echoed through the room. We have bent before. We have bled before, but never have we knelt. Not to kings, not to tyrants, and not to aliens. The chamber went silent. A choice was before humanity: kneel and survive as slaves, or stand and risk total destruction. Still, there was something hidden, something only a few in that chamber knew. A project whispered about in secret corridors. A weapon built not for show but for survival. A fleet that had no name in official records, no flag in the open sky. To most of the world, humanity's armies and navies were all they had. Fragile ships circling Earth, a few bases on the Moon and Mars, satellites and rockets that were toys compared to the alien giants. But deep beneath the oceans, in hidden shipyards far from any camera, something else was being prepared. The first whispers came in coded messages. Engineers and pilots who had vanished for decades. Resources that had disappeared without explanation. $1 trillion gone from the books of nations, hidden under projects that never existed. They called it in secret, the Black Armada. No one in the public knew what it was. Some said it was a myth, a dream of desperate leaders. Some believed it was only an idea, never real. But in the darkest rooms of Earth's defense councils, it was very real. And now, as the alien shadow drew closer, as their message of domination echoed in every human mind, the Black Armada stirred. The people of Earth still did not know. They saw only the stars filled with enemy ships. They felt only fear, only the weight of doom pressing on their hearts. Yet in the silence of hidden hangars, in the darkness of forgotten oceans, engines that had slept for years began to wake. The aliens believed humanity was weak. They saw a world divided by nations, a species still young and foolish. They believed Earth would kneel. They believed humans would obey, as countless other worlds had before them. But they did not know Earth's story. They did not know how many times humanity had been threatened, crushed, broken, and how many times it had risen again. For humanity was not just fighting for survival. Humanity was fighting for pride, for freedom, for the right to stand unbowed under the stars. And somewhere in the cold darkness, black ships waited. The shadows of the alien empire had fallen upon Earth. But soon, a different shadow would rise to meet them. The first shadows were here. The war for humanity's soul had begun. The alien fleet did not leave. It grew larger every day. New ships arrived, filling the black sky beyond the moon. Their shadows covered the stars. To many people on Earth, it felt like the end had already come. The second message followed soon after. This time, the voice was clearer, heavier, like thunder wrapped in steel. It spoke in every language at once, as if the universe itself had been forced to listen. Earth, you have one cycle to decide. Kneel or burn. Your leaders will speak for you. Choose wisely, for the Empire does not ask twice. The words carried no warmth, no mercy. They were the words of rulers who had enslaved 100 worlds before. In secret, humanity's leaders gathered again. The United Nations chamber was no longer a place of debate. It had become a battlefield of words. Some leaders shouted with fear, "We cannot resist them. Their ships are too strong. Our people will die if we refuse." Others slammed their fists on the table. "No, if we kneel, we lose everything. Freedom, dignity, our children's future. Better to fight and fall than to live as slaves." The chamber shook with voices, but above them all, one question cut through. What if we are not as weak as they think? Whispers began to grow about the secret project, the one hidden from the world for decades. Not all leaders knew its full truth, but enough had heard fragments to keep hope alive. They spoke of dark ships, unseen fleets, and a power Earth had kept hidden, waiting for a day like this. Still, doubt was everywhere. Could these phantom ships truly face the Empire's Armada? Could any human weapon stand against alien giants? The aliens were watching. Their ships carried sensors beyond imagination. They saw Earth's rockets, satellites, and space stations. They laughed. These were toys, fragile glass compared to their steel. To them, Earth was a child pretending to be a warrior, and so the Empire made its demand public. For the first time, one of their warships entered Earth's orbit. It was a monster, black metal shining like oil, its length stretching across the sky. People on the ground could see it with their naked eyes, a shadow gliding over clouds. From that ship came a direct broadcast. The image of an alien appeared above cities, projected in the air by strange technology. A tall figure, its skin pale as bone, its eyes like burning ice. The voice was sharp and cruel. "You are not the first. Worlds greater than yours have fallen before us. We give you one chance to kneel. Refuse and your planet will be ash. Do not imagine resistance. Do not imagine victory. Your kind will serve." The world trembled. In the streets many cried for surrender. "We cannot win," they said. "The Empire is too powerful." Others raised their fists to the sky, shouting that they would never kneel, no matter the cost. Earth was divided, fear against defiance, but in secret, preparations were moving faster. Beneath oceans, in hidden valleys, and deep in the blackness of space, the Black Armada stirred. It was not yet time to reveal them, not yet time to show the galaxy what humanity had built. For now, Earth's leaders needed to answer. In the chamber, silence fell. Cameras across the world watched as a single man stepped forward, the Secretary General of the United Nations. His face was tired, his eyes heavy, but his voice was clear. He spoke not just to the aliens, but to every human listening. "You call us weak. You call us slaves, but you do not know us. Humanity kneels to no empire. We will fight, and if we fall, we will fall as free people." The chamber erupted. Some cheered, some cried, some cursed. But the message had been sent. For the first time in history, Earth had spoken with one voice, not of surrender but of defiance. High above, the alien warlord smiled coldly. To him it was no surprise. Most young races resisted before they burned. He raised a single hand, and commands spread through the fleet. "Prepare the fire." The alien ships began to move. Weapons charged, shadows deepened, and the first sparks of war flickered in the void. Humanity had refused to kneel. The Empire had chosen to answer with fire. But somewhere in the silence, black ships waited. Engines whispered, weapons hummed, and a storm unlike any in history prepared to rise. The Empire believed it knew the shape of this war. It believed Earth would fall like the others. But Earth had secrets it had never shown. The demand had been made. The answer had been given, and now the true test of humanity was about to begin. The alien fleet began to prepare its strike. Their ships glowed with power, their weapons alive with energy stolen from stars. On Earth, people waited in fear. Some hid in shelters, some clutched their families, and others stared up at the sky, wondering if these would be their last moments. The Empire believed the war was already won. They had done this 100 times before. They would send fire, cities would burn, and then survivors would kneel. That was the way of the galaxy. That was the way of empires. But Earth was different. In the deepest parts of the oceans, far below the reach of satellites, a hidden fleet was waiting. In deserts and mountains, enormous hangars disguised as empty land began to open. Beneath the ice of Antarctica, walls of steel shifted, revealing tunnels that had been hidden for decades. The world had thought these places were myths. Even most leaders had never seen them. They were whispers, rumors of a project too vast, too impossible to be true. But now, the truth was ready to rise. The project had begun long ago after the first signals from deep space were captured. Scientists had warned, "We are not alone. Someday someone will come, and when they do, we must be ready." At first, no one believed. Humanity was still fighting wars among itself, building weapons against its own kind. But slowly, in silence, plans were made. Nations that hated each other agreed on one secret. Engineers were gathered. Resources vanished into black budgets. The brightest minds disappeared from universities, recruited into programs that no one admitted existed. They called it the Black Armada. It was not one ship, not 10 ships, but hundreds. Black hulls built of alloys unknown to the public. Engines that burned with a light not of Earth's sky, but of captured starlight. Every ship was a fortress, every cannon a storm. But most terrifying of all was their silence. These ships were designed to vanish, to be invisible to eyes and sensors alike. They could drift in the dark like shadows, waiting unseen, until the moment of strike. On the day of the Empire's demand, when the alien warlord promised fire, the Armada woke. In a hidden command center deep under the Rocky Mountains, generals and admirals gathered around glowing screens. They did not tremble like the rest of the world. Their eyes were cold, their hands steady. For decades, they had waited for this signal. One order was given: release the Armada. Across the planet, oceans shook as massive doors opened. Black giants rose from the waves, water crashing off their hulls. From under the ice, ships thundered into the sky, trails of fire cutting through the frozen air. Hidden bays in deserts released swarms of fighters, their wings catching the sun for the first time. In orbit, the alien fleet detected movement. At first, they thought it was chaos. Human missiles, rockets, desperate weapons thrown into the sky. But then their sensors began to fail. Targets vanished. Whole formations disappeared as if swallowed by the night. The alien commanders barked orders, confused. Their machines could see everything, every photon of light, every burst of energy. But they could not see this. And then the first shadow appeared. A ship larger than any human vessel the aliens had recorded slipped out of the darkness. Its hull was blacker than space, its outline almost invisible against the stars. Energy rippled across its surface, weapons ready. It did not broadcast signals. It did not announce itself. It simply arrived, like death given shape. The aliens froze. Humans on Earth watched the sky as black streaks rose into orbit. At first they thought it was the end. But then news began to spread. Cameras caught glimpses of vast black ships, wings unfolding, weapons gleaming. The whispers became shouts. The Black Armada is real. Fear began to turn into hope. For the first time, humanity saw not weakness but strength rising to meet the enemy. In space, the alien warlord narrowed his eyes. This was not expected. No young race could have built such ships. No primitive world could field such a fleet. And yet here it was. An armada born in silence, forged in shadows, and unleashed in defiance. The first clash was coming. Alien ships spread their formation, weapons burning brighter, ready to crush these black phantoms. But the humans did not move recklessly. They waited, silent, like hunters in the dark. Every second felt like an eternity. Humanity stood on the edge of its greatest battle. The Empire was preparing to strike. The Armada was preparing to answer. The galaxy was about to witness something it had never seen before. A world that refused to kneel.